You want to know which quarterbacks and tight ends to start in week 9? We got you covered. We're going to go game by game through every matchup to tell you which players you should be starting or sitting. Don't forget, there are 4 teams out of action this week. The 49ers, the Lions, the Jaguars, and the Broncos are on bye. Now, before we get to the games, there are some players you don't have to worry about. These guys are must starts. At quarterback, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Tua Tagovailoa. At tight end, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, and Dallas Goedert. Before we get to the games, this is the perfect time to try out Underdog Fantasy if you haven't yet. If you use promo code ENDGAME or just click the link down below and sign up as a new customer, you get to take advantage of the Lamar Jackson free pick'em. That's right, he just gets 1 yard, you pick higher, that's a freebie for you. Combine it with any other pick and you can triple your money right away. And if you sign up now using our promo code, you get a 100% deposit match up to $500. So you're doubling your money already just for signing up. Let's get to the first game of the week. It's Thursday night. We got the Titans taking on the Steelers, which is the perfect time to talk about Will Levis. The rookie in his debut was pretty amazing. 4 touchdowns. Titans offense has not looked like this in a long time. So what does he do for an encore?
Man, I mean, hard to follow that up. Certainly, this is a letdown spot for him. Short week on the road against the Steelers, but also coming off that kind of game. I don't think I can do it in a 1 QB league, but if you want to roll him out and gamble on him in a 2 QB Superflex, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, very intriguing in a league like that where you need a second quarterback with upside, but yeah, in a single quarterback league, I'll just say this. It's even if it was a better matchup, I say this would be too soon. We can't just assume he's going to be doing this every week. Road game against the Steelers, not a good place for him. So, Superflex, sure, take a shot, but I'd be worried for a letdown. Now, on the Pittsburgh side, Kenny Pickett left with a rib injury. So, if Pickett gives it a go, would you roll him out against this Titans defense?
I don't think I can. I mean, it's not a terrible matchup, but probably less than 100%. A rib injury, short week. I'd prefer to bench him.
Yeah, I mean, as it is, Pickett's been kind of Superflex only option. With all those things considered, those factors, it's like, no, even if he plays, he's on the bench. And then we do have an international game this week in Germany. It's going to be the Dolphins at the Chiefs. Just going to say, you got either of those quarterbacks, you want them in your lineup, what could be a shootout. Of course, you're starting Travis Kelce at tight end, and of course, you're not starting Durham Smythe at tight end. Now, the Vikings at the Falcons, another game where it's hard to say who's going to be quarterback for either team. So, Kirk Cousins sadly out for the year with that torn Achilles. Is it the rookie Jaren Hall? Is it Sean Mannion off the practice squad? Is it a trade? Is it a free agent? Does it matter?
No, doesn't matter. Whoever it is, I am not starting. I'm not even in 2 QB Superflex. No chance.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. You cannot go here. So it looks like, at least for the time being, Falcons have made a switch at quarterback. Taylor Heineke getting his first start in Atlanta. Look, it's not the worst spot. Would you roll with Heineke?
I mean, not in the 1 QB league. It's not the worst matchup. He is at home. He does run a little bit, and he does sling it a little bit more, but still never feel good about him. But in a 2 QB Superflex league, you can start him.
I might feel a little bit better about this Falcons passing game with Heineke as the quarterback, but it doesn't mean I feel good about Heineke as a quarterback in fantasy. So, no, I mean Superflex or 2 QB if you have to, but that's it. Now, as far as Pitts goes, what do you do with him?
I'm still starting him. It's a good matchup this week against the Vikings. I think he comes through. I'm still pretty much with Kyle Pitts. He's a guy. If I have him, he's in my lineup, and I take whatever I get.
Yeah, still not many tight ends that have his upside. It is a good spot for him against the Vikings defense. I'm still rolling with Pitts. Seahawks taking on the Ravens. Let's talk Geno Smith. The yardage has been there, sometimes the touchdowns, but so have the sacks and turnovers at times. So, on the road against Baltimore, is this a bad spot for him?
Yeah, can't feel good about him this week. Not in the 1 QB league. 2 QB Superflex only.
I agree. There's sometimes you feel better about Geno, but again, it doesn't look quite the same as he did early last year. He's got weapons, but the decision-making has been inconsistent. So, Superflex only. The Rams at the Packers. Now for LA, we saw Matt Stafford with that thumb injury. Definitely looked painful. If he gives it a go this week, are you going to give him a go?
I mean, it's a good matchup, but how good can you feel about him with this thumb injury? He hasn't even been putting up big numbers anyways. Yeah, even in Superflex, I think it's too risky. I'm going to sit him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even before this, his numbers had been down, which is odd because he did get Cooper Kupp back. And even though Kupp was putting up big numbers, Stafford's numbers keep going down. I just don't think I want any part of this. If Stafford does not suit up because of the thumb injury, we might be looking at Brett Rippon. Maybe Superflex?
Not even Superflex. No way. I'm not risking it.
No. I mean, they got some good receivers to throw to, but really, it's just way too risky. What about Tyler Higbee? Feels like we haven't heard about him in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, is he even fantasy relevant? Not starting Tyler Higbee.
Nah, he's fallen off big time. Hard pass. And then there's Jordan Love. I mean, at some point, he's got to turn it around, right?
I'm not betting on that. I am not starting Jordan Love.
Yeah. It looked like he was living off those touchdowns the first couple of weeks. The efficiency, all the metrics just point to him not being good. Hard pass. And at tight end, Luke Musgrave, maybe. But again, I kind of feel like I just want to avoid Green Bay altogether.
Exactly. I don't want any of this offense in my lineup. Unfortunately, I'm sitting Luke Musgrave this week.
Cardinals at Browns. Another matchup where it's hard to say who's going to be behind center, but it looks like it's Clayton Tune now in Arizona. The Dobbs era is over, and the Kyler Murray era has not yet resumed. So, what can we expect from this rookie?
I mean, he put up prolific numbers in college, but are we expecting a Will Levis debut? Probably not. Again, it's just too risky for me. Look, you want to add him in your Superflex 2 QB leagues, fine, but too risky for me to start.
Yeah, not only was this guy not a high draft pick like Levis, but also not the best offense in general. A road game. Yeah, I can't do it with Tune. Too much risk. Now, Trey McBride, maybe it doesn't matter who's at quarterback because even with Josh Jobs put up a huge game last week. I mean, Ertz is still on IR. Do you think that maybe he has another big performance?
Is he going to have a huge game like that again? I don't know, but I think Trey McBride is a good start this week.
Well, you know what? I'm going to find out because if I have picked up McBride, then I'm going to put him in my lineup. That means I didn't already have an elite tight end. I'm going to put McBride in most everywhere I have him. Still waiting on the return of Deshaun Watson when that happens. If it's week 9, are you going to trust him?
No chance. I mean, maybe in a 2 QB Superflex league, but even then you're taking a big risk. But if he throws 3 interceptions, gets hurt again, I'm not starting Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, my trust issues with Watson at this point go beyond just health. No, I don't really want any part of him in fantasy the rest of this season, I think, to be honest. Now, PJ Walker has been adequate as a replacement. Didn't pull out the win, did have 2 interceptions last week. So, is he a guy who has any juice in fantasy?
Not really. I mean, it's not a terrible matchup, but does it matter? What's the upside here? Not starting him.
Yeah, he's firmly kind of replacement level. That goes for fantasy and reality, so can't do it. Now, last week did see David Njoku have a pretty big game, reach the end zone, had some yardage, a big run. Is this something we should be interested in?
Yeah, he's been coming on the last couple of weeks. I certainly think he's a decent streaming option.
I will say, oddly enough, I'll feel better about Njoku if Walker is the quarterback because he's the one who's been giving him the ball. He didn't do much with Watson, and I don't think if the rookie is back there that it would be worth starting him, but he could be streamable. Tampa Bay going to take on Houston this week. Let's talk Baker Mayfield. Road game for him. How does he do?
Yeah, crashing back down to earth hard. Looking like the real Baker Mayfield here. It's not the worst matchup, but it's not the best matchup. But, I mean, risky 2 QB Superflex only.
It's never come to the point where I really even considered him in a single QB league. I will say, given the state of the quarterback position in Superflex, he's probably one of your higher floor options. And then there's Cade Otton, who oddly enough is always on the field and runs a ton of routes, but never seems to really catch many passes. Is he even fantasy relevant?
I mean, barely, but touchdown or bust here, not doing it.
Yeah, and this is not a week where I'm feeling a big game or a touchdown. I say you should probably stream somewhere else. And then CJ Stroud in Houston, maybe crashing down to earth a little bit as well. Do things change for him?
I don't think so. This doesn't feel like the matchup where things are going to suddenly change. I think he's okay, 2 QB super flex, but not enough for me in a 1 QB league.
Yeah, until that volume comes back, I think he'll be better this week. But again, in a single QB league, I'm going to look for more upside somewhere. And then Dalton Schultz snapped that scoring streak. Again, I think we need to see more targets go his way. Does it happen against Tampa?
I mean, it could. It's kind of what you get with guys like this, but before that game, he had been good. I'm not going to give up on him because of one down game. I think he's still streamable.
Yeah, he's going to be one of these unpredictable tight ends, just like a lot of them. You see what happens. It just feels like an okay tight end streamer if you don't have anybody more exciting. Commanders at the Patriots. At this point, it feels like we're going to look back at the end of the season and think, how did Sam Howell get so many fantasy points? I mean, is he a guy that now you're starting to look at even in a 1 QB league?
I think so. He's not necessarily like my favorite QB in a 1 QB league this week because it's not a fantastic matchup. They're on the road in New England, but he's been putting up fantasy numbers, so I think even in a 1 QB league, he's startable.
Yeah, look, you're missing your quarterback because of the buys. He's always going to be one of the top options there. Not a guy you can set and forget, though, but I think he's somebody you could play. And then what about Logan Thomas? I mean, I guess I kind of feel the same way about him.
Yeah, he can always score. He could always, catch some passes. He could always do nothing, kind of like a lot of tight ends, but at least he has that potential and he's involved, so he's streamable.
And then the Patriots, Mac Jones. I mean, things were bad enough for him, and now he lost his number one receiver, Kendrick Bourne, for the season. I mean, how far down the rankings is Mac at this point?
Well, are you ready to be sold on Mac Jones? Every quarterback that's played the Commanders since week 1 has finished as a top 10 quarterback, including Desmond Ridder, and they've all scored higher than their season average. But I don't think Mac Jones is going to continue this streak. But I will say because it's the Commanders, you can start him in a 2 QB super flex, which is the highest I've ever gone on Mac Jones.
I don't even know. I think this game might just make the Washington pass defense look better. I can't do it. He's got nobody to throw to, basically, and this is not a good offense. I'm just saying no. And, Hunter Henry, maybe he gets more involved now because of the lack of wide receiver depth.
Yeah, maybe not. I'm not starting him.
Probably not. It's touchdown or bust, and it's been a lot of busts, so let's just say no. Bears at the Saints. Got Tyson Bagent for at least one more week, so looks like he's also starting to fall a little farther down the rankings as well.
Yeah, on the road against the Saints, no chance.
Yeah, it's almost a fight to see who is at the bottom of the QB rankings this week. He might be it. But somehow made Cole Kmet very appealing in fantasy. Got a ton of targets, 10 catches. Do we have to look at Cole Kmet this week?
I guess we do. He went from no catches to 10 catches. Who knows what you're going to get? Maybe he goes back to no catches, but I think he's at least streamable.
Yeah, I'm going to assume it's closer to the 0 than the 10. I don't want to fall into the trap of assuming he's going to do anything, so I still avoid here. Now, what about Derek Carr? He's putting up yardage week after week. Is he a guy who's still on the streaming radar?
Yeah, 1 QB doesn't really do it for me, but it's not a bad matchup. He's at home. If you want to start him in a 2 QB Superflex, go for it.
I still say he's streamable because he's getting you that floor. He'll get at least a touchdown or two. He could go for 300 yards. So, look, you need a replacement for Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff. I could do with Carr. And then our very favorite time of any show, video, whatever, it's Taysom Hill time. How do you treat Taysom Hill?
I'm done. Taysom, you won. You did it. You beat me. Congratulations. I give up. Start him. Start Taysom Hill.
He's out there. Pick him up. If you need him, start him. Why not? Colts at the Panthers. Let's start Gardner Minshew. He's kind of quietly putting up numbers, even if he's not the most efficient quarterback. Going against Carolina, not the worst spot.
Yeah, the worry here is Carolina plays slow, but the Colts play really fast, so maybe that'll even out. But he's putting up decent numbers. I think again, not my favorite streamer in a 1 QB league, but I think you can stream him even in a 1 QB league.
Yeah, you've got to think, Colts have two good running backs now. They won't need to pass as much because the Panthers don't score that much. So I think he's okay. I think I'd rather leave him for a super flex league. And then Bryce Young, not sure if he'll ever even enter the QB1 conversation this season, but still okay in a 2 QB situation.
Yeah, he's okay in a 2 QB super flex. Again, the Colts might force him to play faster. It's not a bad matchup for him, so he's okay in a super flex 2 QB.
Yeah, I'm okay with him being okay. Next, we got Giants and Raiders. Daniel Jones is back. Giants fans, I'm sure, are happy about that. Our fantasy owners going to be happy about that.
I mean, it's better than watching Saquon Barkley run 36 times into a wall of Jets defenders, but can never get excited about him. It is a good matchup, though, so if you need to start him in a 2 QB super flex, you can.
I mean, I don't want to start him, but compared to the other options, I guess in super flex, he's not too bad this week. Darren Waller, another injury, was a hamstring, left early last week, so not sure what his status will be. If he gives it a go, are you going to trust him?
I mean, trust with Darren Waller is very, very tough. But if he practices fully and is not on the injury report, it's a good matchup. I'll start him.
I guess. I mean, look, it's not like there's so many exciting other options at tight end, but man, it's so hard to roll with Waller these days. So if he's what you got, I guess go with it. Jimmy Garoppolo back as starter. Not too good on Monday night. I mean, man, does he get better against the Giants? And then there's Michael Mayer. Did not come through for the Halloween crowd. Does he come through this week?
No, it looks like that game a couple weeks ago was a complete outlier. Not chasing Michael Mayer anymore. Done with him. Not starting him.
I mean, I don't think it was a fluke. I still have some confidence long term, but yeah, this Raider offense just been really weird. So now I don't feel great about him this week, so I'll bench. Cowboys are going to be taking on the Eagles. Should be a very exciting game. Hopefully fantasy owners are treated. Dak Prescott finally came through with his big game this year. Do we see a repeat?
I think so. It's the Eagles. They are a pass funnel. They give up a lot to quarterbacks, a lot to wide receivers. It's on the road, so that's a little, worrisome for Dak, but I still think Dak Prescott, one of the better starts, even in a 1 QB league.
I mean, you've got to think, even though there's a lot of talent on both defenses, this still should be a higher scoring game. We've seen finally this positive regression from the Cowboy offense. Maybe things are clicking. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott are on the same page now. Dak has got to put up a decent game here at least, and I'll go a step further and say, look, if they're going back and forth, Dak Prescott is in line for potentially 300-plus yard game. I think his early line on underdog, 255 yards, that's a gimme. I'm going to go higher on that. You pair that, if you're a new customer, with the Lamar Jackson special. He just needs 1 yard. I mean, right there, a really good chance to triple your money just for those 2 picks. And you can combine, you can go all the way up to 5 picks at a time, get 20, use modifiers, even 25 times, whatever your wager is. So try that out. If you haven't signed up on Underdog, I'm telling you, this is the time to do it. And then tight end Jake Ferguson came through with a score last week. I mean, Eagles haven't been too good against that tight end. Do you feel good about him?
Yeah, I mean, just gave up a touchdown to Logan Thomas, so Jake Ferguson can always score, get some targets. That's pretty much what you can ask for. I think he's a good streaming option this week.
Yeah, he'll be one of my favorite plug-and-play tight ends for Week 9, so you should feel pretty good about Jake. Bills at Bengals. We know about those quarterbacks, but let's talk tight end. Dalton Kincaid now coming on 2 games in a row with solid numbers. Is this a guy that you now can say is a starting tight end on fantasy teams?
Yeah, I think you have to. Dalton Kincaid for me, one of these tight ends. You got him, you start him, you take whatever he gives you.
Yeah, I mean, you knew they drafted him for this reason. They want him to be one of the featured parts of the offense. He is. I'm buying into it. I think he's a solid tight end 1. Monday night will be the Chargers at the Jets. Let's talk Gerald Everett. Has been dealing with a quad issue. If he plays in Week 9, is he somebody you could stream?
I think so. I mean, assuming, again, he's full practice and he's healthy. Jets, prior to last week, had not been very good against tight ends. You got to throw last week out the window. The Giants didn't even try to throw the football after Tyrod Taylor got hurt. I think Gerald Everett in this matchup, if he's healthy, is another good streaming option.
Yeah, and remember, Darren Waller left early in that game. I mean, he could have had a good game if he actually played, but we'll never know. Yeah, I mean, Everett, you can't really feel great about yardage because he doesn't get enough passes his way, but he scored a couple times. He could do it again. So if you need somebody, he's definitely one of your better options. So if Everett doesn't play, then is Donald Parham a guy who, well, we know he could reach the end zone, but is that getting too deep?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely deeper here, but again, like you said, he can score, and it's a Jet, so I think he's at least streamable.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to be in a deep league to do this, preferably, or if you're in a standard league, I think he's fine. But yeah, I don't want to chase a touchdown if I don't have to. And then let's end with Zach Wilson. I mean, got the Jets a win, but is he going to do that for your fantasy team?
Probably not. It's a good matchup. He is at home, but man, I can't do it with Zach Wilson. Not starting him.
No, I mean, again, there are a couple of quarterbacks who I would put below him this week, but still, you would have to be in a 2 QB league to even look at him. All right, that's our take on the quarterbacks and tight ends that matter for week 9. You know we got you covered at all positions. Everything you need to win in week 9 is in this playlist.